Imagine for a second that your entire life, your deepest memories, the rich smell of your morning coffee, the literal chair you're sitting in right now, what if it's all just code? And I don't mean metaphorical code. I mean actual, tangible, digital data running right now on some colossal, unfathomable computer. Welcome to our latest explainer, where we're digging deep into the source material behind the simulation theory.
It's the ultimate question, isn't it? Are we just code? Take a second and just let that massive, kind of terrifying thought truly sink in. Now, sure, it sounds exactly like the plot of a blockbuster sci-fi movie, literally something straight out of The Matrix. But what we're actually looking at today is a seriously profound, well-researched hypothesis. Because, look, this isn't just some fringe internet conspiracy. This exact idea is being actively debated by top-tier physicists, heavyweight philosophers, and tech visionaries like Elon Musk. They aren't just sitting around entertaining sci-fi concepts for fun. They're looking at actual mathematical anomalies in our universe and dragging this hypothesis right into the center of real-world intellectual debate. I mean, when you've got the sharpest minds on the planet dedicating your careers to questioning the very fabric of our reality, it kind of makes you stop and wonder, what exactly are they seeing that we aren't? So if we put on our detective hats for a minute, we have to ask a pretty punchy question here. If our universe really is a simulation, how on earth could we possibly prove it? What specific, measurable clues would the programmers have actually left behind for us to find? Part 1. The quantum glitch. Reality only renders when looked at. Okay, let's dive into this. Our very first major clue lies in how a video game engine manages its resources and how incredibly similar that is to our own universe. In the gaming world, developers use this brilliant trick called frustum culling. Simply put, the computer only renders the specific part of the game world that you're currently looking at. If you aren't looking at the forest behind you, well, it doesn't physically exist yet. It's literally just a bunch of math waiting to be drawn. Why? To drastically save on processing power and memory, because a computer just can't generate an entire infinite world all at once. And that brings us to a seriously mind-bending revelation. Because strangely enough, our universe seems to do the exact same thing at a quantum level. Enter the famous double-slit experiment. This is a totally foundational concept in quantum physics, and a lot of theorists point to it as the real-world equivalent of that video game rendering trick. Here is how it works at the microscopic level. Step 1. Unobserved. When we aren't looking, subatomic particles don't actually have a fixed location. They just exist in this weird state of probability, like a fuzzy cloud of maybe. They could be anywhere. But step 2, measured. The exact second they are observed or measured by scientists, bam, they abruptly snap into a definite physical position. They literally only become a physical reality when we look at them. To simulation theorists, this looks suspiciously like a heavily optimized rendering engine, entirely pausing its processing until a player actually turns around to look. Crazy, right? Part 2. The universe's source code. Is physics just code? Let's look at the mathematical foundation of our reality for a second and see how this builds. Does the universe have an underlying source code? Think about the comparison here. On one side, we have nature. We see the repeating Fibonacci sequence perfectly woven into the center of sunflowers, or that ultra-precise gravitational constant that predictably keeps planets in perfect orbit around their stars. On the other side, the simulation concept. Pre-programmed laws, underlying source code, mathematical rules that absolutely cannot be broken. I mean, if our reality was truly random, we wouldn't see these consistent, repeating geometric patterns scaling all the way from a tiny microscopic atom up to a massive swirling galaxy. It strongly points to a meticulously pre-programmed environment, not just chaotic random chance. Part 3, the universal speed limit, the universal lag. So let's transition from the software of reality to the actual hardware specs of our universe. Every physical computer system ever built has a hard, maximum processing speed, right? It can only compute so much data so fast before it completely tops out. Well, in our universe, we have that exact same hard limit. It's the speed of light, roughly 300,000 kilometers per second. Nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, can exceed it. It is the ultimate unbreakable physical barrier in our known universe. So the absolutely crucial point here is this. Critics and theorists argue that the speed of light might just be the frame rate or the maximum signal speed of the simulation's processor. Just like your video game starts heavily lagging and dropping frames if you move or process way too fast, the speed of light could simply be the physical limit of the simulation's underlying architecture. The machine literally cannot compute reality any faster than that. Part 4.
who is the programmer? Identifying the creator. Which naturally brings us to the ultimate detective question. If we are indeed inside a program operating on some massive server somewhere in the vast unknown, who wrote the code? Let's rapid fire through the prime suspects here. It could be a future human civilization, maybe thousands of years from now, running highly detailed ancestral simulations just to study their own past. Or it could be an unfathomably advanced alien race running complex cosmic experiments. Or, honestly, maybe it's an advanced artificial intelligence that simply grew way beyond the capabilities and comprehension of its original creators, running its own digital universes.
But there's another incredibly compelling idea here regarding the Great Filter. Let's walk through how this progresses logically. First, a civilization naturally advances. Next, it builds a simulation of reality so incredibly realistic that the simulated beings inside it actually forget they're in one. Eventually, those simulated beings advance enough technologically to build their own realistic simulation. If that logic holds true across billions of years, the statistical odds are virtually zero that we are the original, base reality. We might just be the latest iteration in a seemingly endless chain of nested simulations, literally layers upon layers deep.
Part 5. The final verdict. Real or simulated?
Bringing all this rapid-fire evidence together for a final verdict, look, whether we're made of biology or made of code, our human experience still feels absolutely, undeniably real to us. But the simulation theory fundamentally forces us to look at our everyday world just a little bit differently. Think about it. When you experience a sudden, eerie moment of déjà vu, are you actually just sensing a minor, fleeting bug in the overarching system? And what about those bizarre, totally unexplainable coincidences in your life? Are they just blind chance? Or are they actually deliberate code updates from the programmer above? Whether it's completely real or entirely simulated, the mystery of our existence remains the greatest, most beautiful game of all.